are listening to my podcast. I am Nicole Farsalas, the owner of GloUp, and we are located in Oak Brook, Illinois. I have been talking about starting this podcast for quite some time now, and I have finally bitten the bullet. So I'm going to just kind of jump into things. I want to introduce this podcast and why I'm doing it. I am pretty vocal on social media and in my business. Anyone that knows me or knows, that comes into the salon, if you catch me in the front desk, we are going to have the longest conversation about health, fitness, travel, food, jobs, life, relationships, you name it. I really like to connect with people. I think that's why I am successful in my business, because I just like to talk and connect. So I didn't feel like I had a platform. Social media is a great platform, but I felt like I wanted a different medium to kind of express all my thoughts, share some intimate stories. I will be interviewing other people, but at first, first few, I want to talk about how I got started in my business, talk about my past personal experiences, what shaped me in life, and how I am navigating my future. I come from a Greek and Italian descent family. My parents are from the northwest side of Chicago, very blue collar, hardworking, very passionate people, very into family. And I think that shaped me into the person I am today, because they taught me very good work ethic, but they also showed that it is important to be around family and be generous with your time and always be giving to other people. For instance, growing up, a big memory of mine is people always coming to my home and my mother cooking with my father, cooking Greek and Italian food. Our house wasn't the biggest house, but it was always the loudest and the most fun. Definitely the most cars in the driveway. And always smelled the best, because you can smell the Italian sauce cooking, and the Greek leg of lamb that took 2 days to prepare. So I was raised with a very strong ethnic family dynamic. So I feel like that is kind of ingrained into who I am. Culturally, both those ethnicities are very hospitable, which led me to get into the hospitality industry later in life. And I feel like now with my business and who I am as a person, I'm always very generous, not just with my time, but with offering, people coming into my home or people coming into my salon. So that kind of shaped me growing up. I do have a younger sister that was living in my house. And then my mom was married before and had my older sister and older brother, which not a lot of people know that. We actually didn't live with each other, and I didn't see them until I was, I think, in 5th or 6th grade. There was a bit of a custody issue with my mom and her previous husband. So I didn't grow up with them in my house, but they are my siblings. So I have an older sister, Jamie, and then an older brother, Nikki, and then it's me, and then my sister, Stephanie. So it's very interesting. People always think I'm an only child, and my older siblings, they actually have children, and some of them have children. So I kind of grew up in the beginning of my life in my home, just my sister and I. And then later, as I got older, my older brother came to our house, and my mom kind of said, like, hey, you have an older brother. We always knew, but we never really met him. And then same for my sister, not too long after she got reintroduced into our life, and they remembered me, but I met them when I was a baby. So it's kind of interesting, my life, having siblings, and they live a couple of towns over, but having no idea that they exist. And then in 5th grade, you're like, wow, you have all these other people in your family that exist. So it's kind of an interesting thing in my life. I am very close with my cousins. When you're Greek, that's something that is like ingrained into you. You're not really supposed to be around friends. Our yaya, grandmother in Greek, would always say, like, just stick with your family. And so I grew up very close with my cousins. They're like your siblings. So I think those few things had a lot of play in who I am today and how I operate my life. So some key experiences that have shaped my life today, I would say early on in my life, again, I played softball. I was a dancer, a cheerleader. So I always worked in like a team sport. I think a lot of people that are in business or entrepreneurs or are like successful in their careers, they played sports. When you play a sport or you are dedicated to something like piano lessons or golf or just something as a young child, you're being taught discipline. You don't just win, you have to work really hard at something. You can have talent, but that doesn't mean that you're going to be the best. You can have talent and not be disciplined and not succeed. Or you can be less talented, have better discipline, practice harder than other people and become a better athlete or a better, person in your career. So I think if I didn't have that, I wouldn't be the person I am today, which also puts into perspective as an adult, you realize how much effort it takes to be a good athlete as a kid. One, a lot of money goes into sports and practice and getting the best coaches and paying for time in a studio or going into pitching classes and, working out and just even uniforms and looking the best and getting your hair done and all the things that go into that. That is a big thing that we don't realize, that pressure on our parents, or that just shows like the support of your parents. If you don't have supportive people around you, you're not going to have ability to do all those things. So I think a lot of times people don't realize that maybe their parents seemed a little distant, but their parents were probably working really, really hard to pay for all these things for their kids, or to even be like an Uber driver, getting you from this practice, picking you up from school, taking you to the next practice and whatever. So that is something that I take note of as an adult. I see it in other people. I see it in my clients that come in. They're in the season of being an Uber driver for their kids. And I always tell them, this is great for you and for your kid, because one, I remember how exciting it was as a child to walk onto a field, be really equipped with like the best stuff that I could have, like the best bat, the best this, and also have my parents in the stand being really proud of me because I worked all winter long for my summer sports. And it just builds your confidence as a person. I notice even individuals that come into my salon that want to work for me, or just people that ask me questions, what they should do with their life or how did I get started in my business. And I notice that the ones that are kind of more confused or don't have a lot of discipline were never in a team sport. So I think it's very important, and I think it shaped me greatly for, having that opportunity to be a dancer, cheerleader, softball player. So that is kind of the background I'll get into for now with my life. Also, people never see my parents on my social media, but both my parents are alive, and they're typical Greek and Italian parents. I'm very close with both of them for various reasons, and my relationships over the years have developed a little bit better. Obviously, when you're young, it's not so easy being a teenager, dealing with your mom or dealing with your dad when they put rules on you, at least for me. But as I've gotten older, we've gotten closer, and then we've pulled apart, and then we got close, and then we pulled apart. So at the moment, things are pretty good with my family. I am pretty private with my personal life just because I do have, people that follow me for various reasons. And I just, my family and some of my friends don't want to be on social media. So I just try to keep some things a little bit more private. But eventually we'll get into, different dynamics and possibly have them talk on here.